I don't have my armor up. This is bad. This is bad. This is bad. This is bad. This is Spinnaker 3 here at the Alliance Wars Showcase, and as I saw from that coming up clip, the fights here are going to get sketchy. I mean, it's not just the boss fight with Guardian, it's a few of the fights in the middle, but it's definitely going to be a lot of Quake this war, so I'm going to try speeding up those clips. Now, if you're someone who doesn't enjoy Quake gameplay, then I recommend looking at the timestamps to skip around to the non-Quake fights, because I do think that there are some of them that are very interesting to watch, especially the Guardian takedown of the boss. So I'd highly recommend taking a look at those. I wouldn't just drop the video just because you see Quake. That's my big disclaimer in the beginning. And I will say that there's also one Quake fight at the end that I think is important to voiceover. I'm not really going to be talking too much about this. I mean, it's a Nick Fury on Hazard Shift. Could have brought in other counters, but Quake just worked well for my entire path. And so I felt it was just safer to bring her along. And especially for the next fight, I just find Quake so much more usable. But you can already tell this is a slow fight. I mean, using Quake against Nick Fury, that's class disadvantage, so it's already not a good time. And right here on one of my Quake cycles, when I go for the full dex, I block the last hit. He goes for a heavy, and I just completely eat a heavy to the face. So that's definitely the first spot where this goes a little sketchy. But apart from that, it's just a standard Quake fight. I mean, nothing much to it. And so, just as a reference, the team that I'm bringing this war is Guardian, Mojo, and Quake. If you've seen my channel, you should know how much I love Mojo, and that means I bring Mojo everywhere, including Alliance War. So this next fight is a Hazard Shift Warlock, and there are so many champions I could have used instead of Quake here, but I hate fighting Warlock because I run willpower, and I don't want to just eat a bunch of degeneration damage because of willpower healing or shock damage from his special one. So I just brought Quake so I don't have to get around that and change my mastery setup. If I was doing it with another champion, I probably would have, but I don't need to really spend that much time with the unit drain, and this fight will just be really easy to do with Quake, so I figured I'll just Quake it. Like I said, I'm speeding up these clips so you don't have to sit through a whole minute of quaking. No one wants to do that. So next up is where more of the non-Quake fights begin, and that's where the fun starts for my commentary. So up next is a Void, very common placement here. I don't think people realize that the Purify from the Cold Turkey doesn't seem to apply with Void's debuffs, but they still tend to place him here anyways. And I'm just going to be using Guardian. Just as a reference, this is tier 5 war, so the Protect Mastery is there. But since Void is not a large or extra large champion, I can use Guardian pretty reliably without having to worry about Protect. And right here, you can see I'm staggering my combo, and I'm waiting on the parry until the debuff gets on me. And then the second it got on, I reached my 10 hits, purified the debuff, and then got away from it. There you notice I blocked the special too. I missed the perfect blocks, but I'll nail them later on. It's really good to just perfect block with Guardian because it's just so easy. And even though you can't gain power in this node, it's a guaranteed 0 damage taken. So I just tend to go for it when possible. It's just a habit of mine that I find really hard to break. And right here, I get 3 force field charges, launch a special 2, and it does a significant chunk of damage. I mean, Guardian Special 2, everyone knows how hard it hits. People underestimate, though, how hard it hits with very few charges. So right there, I mean, this Void is almost done. I'm just going to bait out one more Special 2. I get the perfect block right there. And then I'm going to throw this Special 2, and then Void goes down. Very simple fight with Guardian. You notice how topped up I am. Guardian is just so tanky. That's why I love to bring Guardian for war. And honestly, the block proficiency that he adds for other champions is just so nice to have. So next up, I have a Nova on the Ebb and Flow Intercept path. And I'm going to be taking this with Mojo. So Nova is definitely tough on this node because if you ever try to go for the Intercept on Nova, he auto blocks it when he has a Fury buff and consumes the Fury. So because I'm using Mojo and because Mojo doesn't really have a good nullify ability, I'm gonna have to go for multiple intercepts in the same time frame to try and land it. But you'll see what I mean later. There I got hold block as a prompt, so I just hit into Nova's block to get past that prompt. And you see right there, I got an intercept to remove the Fury, and I got another intercept to get my own Fury and remove his protection. And that's how I'm going to try playing this fight with Mojo. So you notice I use the heavy to reset the prompt, just trying to complete my prompts, get to my big damage phase. The Mojo rotation is very simple. I get to turn all of his Energize and True Strike buffs into degenerations for extra damage. And right here, I dash back, but I was a little too late in going for my Intercept. So I eat a combo to the face. And that's never fun, but it's whatever, you know? Right here, I wait for the prompts to recycle, and then I use my special 3. My special 3 will instantly complete the prompt, give me my big anti-light field fury, and place 5 degenerations on the opponent. That is a lot of damage that it does, that even with the protection up, it still does a significant chunk of damage to his health. And so right here, I'm going to try and go for my intercept so that I can get as much damage from it as I possibly can. And right there, I remove the Fury, but unfortunately, I don't get the right timing window for another intercept. Here I go for the heavy to knock down the champion, and he ends up heavying me, which completes the prompt anyway, so I guess that worked out, but once again, sketchy. Here I missed the special 2 decks. Like, this fight is just not going as well as I hoped. But it doesn't matter because Mojo is incredibly tanky. Right there, I land an intercept. I have the launch a special attack prompt, which Nova does for me. I hit him with a special 2, and Nova just drops. I mean, this is just proof of something that you'll hear me say time and time again, but you don't need to worry about Mojo's low block proficiency if you're not taking that many blocked hits. And you'll see what I mean here. I love using Mojo on Ebb and Flow Intercept because I find Mojo's animation super easy to intercept with. So that's why I'm bringing him here against this Hit Monkey. And normally I feel like people would not look at this matchup that favorably, but right there, from the start, I land the intercept and I'm going for the hold block prompt, bait that heavy, dash back in. The Fury is giving me a lot of damage. Hitmonkey doesn't have that much health either. And this fight will go very smoothly. One thing that's also worth noting is that I'm not going to knock down Hitmonkey until I'm ready to kill him, because I don't want to have to deal with any of his annoying defensive abilities. So, you know, just right there, go for a light intercept, get the big Fury, reduce his protection. I'm going to go for a stun. And I could have launched the special 3 here, probably would have finished it, but I wanted maximum uptime on the Fury just to see what could happen. So right here, I'm going to go for completing the prompt, which is hold block. And now I just need to go for an intercept. Luckily with Mojo, very easy to land one. I just have to hit him a few times, go in for a light intercept, and throw my special 3. Now watch how much damage this special 3 does against Hitmonkey. Each dislike is doing so much damage to Hitmonkey, and that's not to even discount the 5 degenerations that will be placed on him after. Yes, I knocked him down, which would trigger his stuff, but you know what? He dropped. I only knocked him down when I was ready to kill him, and man, oh man, did that work out. So next I have cleanup on this Immortal Abomination, and once again, standard Quake fight. And Quake in this matchup, one of the most boring fights if you ask me, because with the Ebb and Flow Intercept protection up, I'm doing 60% reduced damage, and I'm just quaking Immortal Abomination, who's already a tanky guy. So honestly, I feel like if I start getting more and more Quake fights, I'm going to just skip to the end, just show you guys my health at the beginning, my health at the end, and you can extrapolate what happened. I mean, it is a Quake fight. There is not much going on. Who wants to watch this? And if you want to skip this Quake fight, please go to the description. There will be a timestamp. Skip to the next one. It's definitely not something I would watch. I just wanted to include it in case anyone would. I mean, Immortal Abomination is definitely tricky on Redoubled Determination. Quake makes the fight a joke. Quake also makes the fight a bore. So it's every time I come to this fight, it's a pick your poison, you know? No pun intended. But you can either use Quake, have a very boring but safe fight, and if you boost up, you're going to get through it. Or you can use someone else and just have a much higher chance of dying. So depending on where you stand with that trade-off, you pick your poison, like I said. But right here, this fight is just about over, and I end it by launching my heavy, boring textbook Quake fight. But now let's get to a Quake fight that's not as boring and textbook, and that's against Mojo. Now, I really wanted to commentate on this particular Quake fight because there's a lot to keep track of when you're quaking against Mojo. Now, I still sped it up 2 times, so it's definitely going to be going by a little fast, which is why I'm still going to give the play-by-play. But you notice that my goal is to not complete prompts, because if I complete prompts, he'll get a lot of power. And right here, I just botch it up completely. Anyway, my the prompt that he has gotten right there is dodge a hit, and I dodge it, and then the prompt completes. Big whoop-de-doo. But now, if you notice, I dashed back, and Mojo suddenly has 80% of a bar of power. That's no joke, okay? That's because I completed the prompt. So now my goal is to not complete the prompt. You notice I get stun a champion. I'm gonna try my best to not stun him. And you notice right there, since he resets his prompts after you fail enough of them, nothing bad happened. But you'll notice that if I complete too many prompts, things can go wrong very quickly. I charge a heavy that completed a prompt, and he power gained up to a special one, launched his special one right into me, and I definitely took a couple of hits. But the reason I went into this fight so confidently is because I had enough health to tank it, so I didn't care. But if you're taking this fight with a low health Quake, you really need to play around his prompts. So right here, I have the Apocalypse boss fight, and I'm taking it with Guardian. And my gosh, is this a tough one. This goes down to the wire, and I'm using 3 boosts and an advanced power boost. So I'm pretty boosted. I mean, I'm using the low boost because I have a lot of them stacked up, the 10 percenters and the 15 percenters. You know the ones I'm talking about. But from the bat, my goal is to throw a special 1 and then throw a special 2. The magic number is 6 or less. If I throw a special 2 with 7 force field charges, I will trigger protect. Anyway, you saw right there with Apocalypse's special 1, you can time the beam hit so that you perfect block the last 2 hits. And I'm going to be using that to gain a lot of power. Now, the problem with using a good damage rotation with Guardian is that you will have to take quite a bit of block damage. You notice that my armor up buff, here it got on, and I used the perfect block to power gain from 2 beams. So if you dash the first beam hit, and then you block on the second hit, you'll perform a perfect block, and then you'll power gain for the next 2 hits. I know that sounds complicated, but try it against Apocalypse. It works very nicely. You notice here, I'm going to go for the perfect block on the first 2 beam hits of the special 2 and then dash back for the rest, just trying to mitigate as much block damage as I possibly can. And that's what makes Guardian really nice for this fight. Now, remember what I said about 7 force field charges? Well, I accidentally gained 7 force field charges. So I triggered 4 stacks of protect, which means I'm going to have to go for a lot more intercepts. But Apocalypse does not want to play ball. I keep going for the light intercept. He just keeps dashing up to me, never actually going for anything. And I get parried trying to go for an intercept. Just ridiculous. I just can't explain it. Anyway, like I said, here you dash the first one, you perfect block the next 2. Very good. You take 0 damage from Apocalypse's special 1, which let's face it, not a lot of champions can do. And every time, the problem with this rotation is that in order to go for a standard damage rotation, I am sacrificing my armor up buff. Luckily, I was able to land the intercepts, but now my armor up buff is gone, which makes me vulnerable to all of Apocalypse's block damage. And we know how much damage Apocalypse's specials can do. Right there, I accidentally eat one of his non-beam hits, and it does a load of damage to me. I mean, I'm getting backed into the corner. This is not good. I want to throw my special 2 just to get some space. So I do it right before I gain enough to actually take away my armor buff if I launch the special 2. Because if I launch the special 2 with 3 force field charges or more, I lose my armor up buff. And I need it. Just watch. All of this block damage is just so problematic. So right here, I want to just finish him off. So I see that I have enough force field charges to get maybe a good amount of damage. So I'm going to go for the perfect block on these first 2 beam hits. Accidentally eat 1 hit, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm going to throw the special 2 and it'll finish the fight. The fight's not over and I don't have my armor up buff. And this is going wrong. I don't have it. No. I'm at 1%. I need to finish it off. And I get that last hit with 1% left on Guardian. So that was just one wild war fight. And I'd love to explain more about it if you're interested. But we did end up winning this war. Despite all of the sketchiness, we managed to pull through. So drop a comment letting me know, what do you think of Guardian against Apocalypse bosses? Yes or no? And if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll catch you later.